During this series, man, we've really been challenged. I felt challenged in the last 2 weeks, and I felt like from reading some of the prayer requests and the praise reports and the stuff going on our relationship goals board that you all have been challenging yourselves as well. In week one, we talked about communication, to fight for healthy communication in our lives. And then last week, we talked about fighting for emotional and physical intimacy in our relationships. So those are our first two goals. And each week, that's what we've been doing. We've been looking at our relationships and setting a goal for ourselves so that we could go after it each and every week. Brinkley already talked about it today, and she shared some of the goals that have been shared with the church via our relationships goals board back there. And we would definitely encourage you to keep putting your goals up there. And it could be the same goal. If you're fighting for one goal and you do it for the next 4 weeks, 6 months, man, let us know by putting it back there so we can continue to pray for you, pray for your family, pray for your relationships in your life, because we definitely want to do that with you guys. So we've talked about communication. We've talked about intimacy. And today what I want to do is I want to talk about our relationships with our kids. And both of those things are very important. Our kids need us to communicate well with them. Our kids need us to love on them. But I think today the main thing that I want to talk about as it pertains to our kids and really any of our relationships is time, is how to best manage our time so that we can have more time with our kids. This past week, me and my family, we decided to rent a movie. It's called Wonder. It's a movie that came out about a month ago. It just released on Redbox. It's a phenomenal movie. If you haven't seen it, go rent it. It's amazing. Julia Roberts in it, Owen Wilson. And the whole story revolves around this little boy. His name's Augie. And Augie has some physical deformities. He's kind of a medical miracle. They talk through his story a little bit about all the surgeries that he's had to undergo. He walks around wearing a space helmet. Coolest little kid for sure. And so everything kind of revolves around Augie. Augie had a big sister named Via. Her name's Olivia, but she goes by something cool. And she wanted a little brother so bad. And once Augie came into the picture, and all the parents' time, all the parents' attention was towards Augie. Now listen, his big sister loved him very much and was always on his side and always had his back. But you begin to hear her story a little bit more and realize that she was not getting the time and the attention that she also needed from her parents, because it was all be given to them, and it all unravels. And it's a great movie. We watched it with some of our older kids, and I would highly suggest that you do the same. There's this old adage that I heard a long time ago, and that's always stuck with me, and that is this, that kids spell love Time. Kids need our time. Kids desire our time. Man, they need our attention, and they want it, listen, they want it more than gifts. They want it more than video games. They want it more than electronics. They want it more than sports and hobbies. They need our time, and they desire our time more than anything in their lives. And here's what I know, being a youth pastor, being in the church world, doing counseling, when we don't give them the time and attention that they need, they begin to stop seeking it out in us and begin to seek it out in other things to fill the void that is there in their lives. We gotta make time with our kids a priority. But sadly, what we see in the world is that there is less parent time, and there's more screen time, and there's more friend time, and there's more sports time, and there's more hobby time. We get them busy with all these activities because we're so busy doing the things that we wanna do. And we don't have time for our kids. And I wanna say really quickly before I share relationship goal number 3 is that if you don't have kids today, listen, time applies to every relationship. Every healthy relationship requires time together. So this still applies to you. Apply it to your relationships now, but in the same sense, if you're desiring to be a parent one day, take notes. And mark down the things that God speaks to you today, because they'll be very, very important as you step into parenthood. Here's relationship goal number 3. If you want to write it down on your Connect card, it's this: to fight for margin in our relationships. Margin. And kind of that buffer zone. We got to make time to have time. Right? We got to be very, very intentional about our time so that we can have some great moments in our lives. Now, I'm going to unpack that in a little bit, but I decided that I wanted to do something a little bit different today. We're talking about kids, and I thought, what better way to learn about kids than to hear about from the kids? And I have tons of them, so I'm like, all right, I'll grab a couple of them and bring them up on my stage. So I'm going to ask that 3 of my kids would join me on stage, and my friend Josh is going to join me up here as well. And Josh is going to ask them some questions, and they're going to answer. And I think it's going to be interesting and fun, and I may learn some things about my wife and I may regret putting them on this stage, but I think it's going to be a good time. So let's welcome them up onto the stage. All right. You guys ready? Oh, look at this. This is like a fun ride. All right. I'm going to kind of position you guys so you can see Mr. Josh. All right. Hey, just remember I can ground you. Okay, there we go. All right, have fun.
What's going on? It's like that, huh? All right, well, real quick, the first thing I noticed about these chairs is that they have cup holders. So I brought you guys a water. Do you want a water? Shawnee never wants a water. Do you want a banana? I brought you bananas. Don't eat bananas while we're talking, though. It makes for bad. Did you guys get one of these when you came in? You guys were supposed to get one of these when you came in. I got these bracelets. It was really cool. I think you're supposed to buy them. Just tell people that you're the pastor's kid. I don't think it matters then. We still only have one mic, so this will... Oh! I think Jesus answered. We have 2. Can I get that one back? Jesus? All right, so you guys are going to pass this around. It won't bite you. Here, honey. There you go. All right. So, real quick, do you guys just want to just say who you are and how old you are, okay? Because I know who you are. I know how old you are because I'm like the best uncle in the world, but these people don't know that you are 3 of, is it 37 brothers and sisters? I think it's 37. So go ahead, say your name and your age, and then like pass it down the row.
Trinity and 8. Sean and 6.
Delaney, I'm 11.
All right. You can. Wow, it's going back to the beginning. No one. All right. What is your favorite animal?
A cat. Monkey.
Unicorns.
All right. What is your favorite sound? All right, good one. That's a good sound.
I don't know.
You don't know? All right, wow.
Are you thinking?
What sound? Like, my favorite sound's like, like that's my favorite sound. All right. What's the favorite part of your family?
Movie nights.
Ooh.
Popcorn.
Game nights.
Game nights, all right. Is every answer of yours going to be about food, little man? You're the reason I brought the bananas. What do you wish you could do more as a family?
Movie nights.
Popcorn. What do
Game
you wish?
nights?
All right. I'm saying. It's real easy, Warrensing parents. Popcorn, game nights, and movie nights are clutch. What is your favorite thing to do with mommy or with daddy?
Late nights.
Late nights, all right, cool.
Spend time with them.
All right, spend time.
Go to the park and get ice cream.
Oh, snap, all right. The quick answers. If you could choose anywhere to go, where would it be?
A salon.
Oh, snap.
The movies.
Ooh.
Universal.
Oh, snap. See? You see, age knows. Age knows like y'all are. He asked for the big stuff. Universal. What do you wish you could do more with mommy and daddy? Oh, snap.
Snuggle with them.
Ooh.
Spend time in general?
There you go. All right. Say snuggle, Trent. Say snuggle with them, because people really like that one.
Fine, snuggle.
How do your parents help you deal with problems and frustrations you're facing? Seriously, this is my favorite. So far, those are my favorite answers. The past two, she's been like, nope, not touching it. All right, it's all on you.
She pats my head and tells me it's going to be okay, and then she tells me, go do your schoolwork so you can be done with it.
Oh, yeah. Go do your schoolwork so you can be done with it. All right. Now, this is a yes or no followed by a why or why not, okay? So do mom and dad make enough time for you guys? Yes or no, and why or why not? You can't pass it without saying yes or no. And you can look down and you could say, I forced you to say no. I'm kidding. Just say yes or no. They're staring at me. You can pass it. All right.
Sure.
No.
Why or why not? You're getting like nailed to the wall because you're the one that I don't know, you're taller than me.
Because mommy's either cleaning or taking care of the babies, and daddy's either at work or getting coffee.
Oh, snap. Oh. Just straight dropping the mic. And that's it. Tithe buckets are coming around. What do you think would help mom and dad spend more time with you guys? Oh.
If they take 2 days off.
Ooh.
If daddy never has to work.
They never have to work.
If daddy doesn't drink coffee and mommy and the kids clean up after themselves.
Oh, if the kid, I'm saying, praise hands going out, parents everywhere. I'm saying, talk to my kids after this with that answer, please and thank you. If someone were to be in charge at home, who would it be? It could be you, it could be parent. Who's in charge at home? Mom or dad?
Mama. Dad.
Daddy.
All right, now that was a trick question. Or is it Providence?
Providence. Yeah, it's Providence.
Providence.
All right. Now, real quick, I heard something about you guys having a family animal, like that. Like this is our animal that represents our family, and that we're hitching our wagon to. What animal is this?
Maine Coon.
A Maine Coon?
Armadillo.
Armadillo?
Fainting goat.
Fainting goats. All right. I think that's it. That's it. You guys want to give it up for the kiddies? Thank you guys. You guys are amazing. You did an amazing job.
Let me see this real quick. You stay right there.
Oh, snap.
Oh, you got your microphone? So the Maine Coon is actually our family cat. That is our cat, right?
Yeah.
Armadillo? An armadillo represents our family, so we lay on the road with our feet up in the air and go like this a lot. Why is our family animal a fainting goat? Because they're hilarious. All right. All right, well, let's give it up for my kids one more time. You guys can take your stuff with you. I'll take the microphone. Oh, yep, there you go. Just do what Shawnee did. It's quicker that way. Absolutely. All right. Well, that was enjoyable, right? Oh, man, I tell you what. Well, my kids are great. You know, I tried to prep them for this so that they wouldn't just pass the microphone and actually answer. But they did. I guess they got a little nervous, stage fright, whatever. But, I mean, that was fun. And I wanted to have some fun with it. And what I want to say is this, is that, you know, when I'm up here sharing with you guys different things, it's not that I have it figured out. I don't. Most of the time, these are things that I need to work on in my life. And as you heard, I clearly have a problem with coffee, right? Like that is it's working coffee. And that shows that there is a problem. And I love having 2 days off. That would be fantastic. Someone figure that out. And even better, not working at all. What he doesn't realize is that if we didn't work, we wouldn't have a house. Anyway, he's young. He doesn't get it. But that was a lot of fun. I'm so thankful for my kids. And there's so many of them, and they're so wonderful. And life would be easier if they would clean up after themselves. But hey, we'll keep praying for that one. One of the things that I personally struggle with is doing versus being. I'm constantly searching for things to do, to fix, projects, and I constantly want to be just doing stuff. And as I constantly have this desire to continually do something, it takes away time with my kids. And I was thinking about this with the amount of kids that I have versus the amount of time that I have. There's this huge deficit that takes place. So I have to fight even harder for my time with my kids. I have to fight myself a lot. I have to fight my urges for coffee, apparently, to spend time with my kids. But I think if we would all be honest, we would all say, you know what? I'm pretty horrible at managing my time too. And I know there are some of you like, no, I got it all figured out every day, every minute. Fine, you're awesome, you're wonderful, you have arrived. But the rest of us, we have a hard time managing our time. In this day and age, man, we can binge watch 4 hours of Netflix or Hulu, and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we wake up and we're grumpy and tired. Or we spend, just countless amounts of time on social media. Do you know that average adults spend 2 hours a day on social media? Now, that's average. I know most people spend a lot more time on social media than that. They said that most adults these days will spend 5 years of their life just on social media. And with the way that technological trends are going, it's going to be even more. But there's those two things. And then we also have work. We have deadlines, we have meetings, we have new projects, we have new business ventures that we put our time into. We also have hobbies, extracurricular activities, sports, all these other things. And we're horrible at managing our time, and we're doing too much. And as we do too much, it stifles the depth of our relationships with our kids, with our spouses, with our friends. I came across these statistics that I wanted to share with you, and it says this. It says, people now sleep 2.5 hours fewer each night compared to people from 100 years ago. The average work week is longer now than it was in the 60s. The average office worker has 36 hours of work piled on his or her desk, and it takes 3 hours a week just to sort through it and find what we need. We spend 8 months of our lives opening junk mail, 2 years of our lives playing phone tag with people who are too busy to answer, and 5 years waiting for people who are trying to do too much and are always late for meetings. We are piled on, stretched to the limit society. We're rushed, we're late, and we're busy. And we feel like Job felt in chapter 3, verse 26, when he says, I have no peace, I have no quiet, I have no rest, and trouble keeps coming. In other words, we lack margin. We don't have margin in our lives. You see, the lack of margin leads to no peace. It leads to no rest, and it also leads to relationship trouble in our lives. Now, if you have margin in your life, guess what? You will experience peace. You will experience rest. You will experience joy. Actually, what you're going to experience as a Christ follower is the fruits of the Spirit. I want to share those with you today. They're in Galatians 5:22. You can pull out your Bible and follow along, but they'll also be on the screens. And here's what it says. It says, the fruit produced by the Holy Spirit within you is divine love in all its varied expressions, joy that overflows, peace that subdues, patience that endures, kindness in action, a life full of virtue, faith that prevails, gentleness of heart, and strength of spirit. Never set the law above these qualities, for they are meant to be limitless. You see, when we make Jesus, we put Jesus in the margin of our lives, we will experience the fruits of the Spirit in our relationships. I want you to write that down. When Jesus is in your margin, your relationships will experience the fruits of the Spirit. Margin leads to love. It leads to joy. It leads to patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. All of those things come along with it. Now here's what I know. When I'm rushed, when I'm late, when I'm busy, when I got too much going on, my kids don't get those things. They don't get love. They don't get patience. They don't get kindness. They don't get gentleness. Instead, they get my anger. They get my frustration. They get my shortness. They get arguments from me. What I realized as I was going through this, that a life without margin leads to a life without the fruits of the Spirit. You know, right before Galatians 5:22, right before the fruits of the Spirit that we have, we're given the fruits of sin. And see, a lack of margin leads to a lack of the fruits of the Spirit, and it also leads to the fruits of sinfulness, of sinful desires. 2 verses before, Galatians 5:22, here's what it says. Verse 19, it says, when you follow the desires of your sinful nature, the results are very clear. Sexual immorality, impurity, lustful pleasures, idolatry, sorcery, hostility, quarreling, jealousy, outburst of anger, selfish ambition, dissension, division, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these. Now, some of those things aren't directly affected by our lack of margin, but I know for me, when I lack margin, here's the things that my kids get. You ready? They get hostility, quarreling, jealousy, outburst of anger, selfish ambition, dissension, and division. Am I the only one? Is anyone else with me when they lack margin in their lives, that their kids get the worst? Thank goodness I'm not alone. Listen, when you lack margin, your relationships will suffer. Bottom line. We've got to make time a priority in our lives. We want our kids to experience the fruits of the Spirit. We want to live a life of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, and self-control. It's a mouthful, but we need it. No, there's something else in Galatians 5:22, right there at the end. It goes through all the fruits of the Spirit, and then it drops this line. 5:22, it says, never set the law. And I put in parentheses right there, never set the rules above these qualities, for they are meant to be limitless. I wonder, how often do your rules, does discipline, keep you from experiencing great moments with your kids? We get so focused on them following our rules and discipline and them respecting us and who we are and what we can do with them. And you see, what happens when we do that is our love and our grace and our joy and our kids' love, grace, and joy becomes dependent upon works. But that's not what the gospel teaches us about love. Galatians 2:16 says, yet we know that a person is made right with God, not by following the law, not by following the rules, but by trusting in Jesus Christ, what he did for us on the cross. You see, what he did for us on the cross, it had no conditions. Jesus didn't say, hey, go clean your room before I do this for you, right? He didn't say, make sure your homework's done before I die on the cross for you. Hey, respect me before I do this. No, what he did for us was unconditional and undeserved. And I think our families would be much better off if we began to treat them the way that the Heavenly Father treats us, unconditionally. Unconditional love. Here's what Romans 5:8 says. It says, Christ proved God's passionate love for us by dying in our place while we were still lost and ungodly. You see, sometimes it's hard to love our kids, to show them grace, or to shower them with gifts when they're being lost or acting lost and ungodly. And I'm sure there's some other words that come into mind instead of lost and ungodly, right, for our kids. But it's hard. It's hard to show them love. It's hard to show them grace in all these things. And instead what they get is they get rules and they get discipline. And listen to me. I'm not saying we don't need to guide our kids with rules and with discipline and all those things. But those things, they will guide them, but they will never save them. You see, God's God's children, God's chosen people, the Israelites, you read in the Old Testament, they were guided by the law, but the law never saved them. You wanna know what saved them? It was love. Love saved them. Unconditional, undeserved love, showcased by Jesus Christ on the cross. And something that I constantly have to remind myself, constantly, y'all, is that I need to offer grace more. I need to offer forgiveness more. I need to offer kindness and love more. I would challenge you to do the same. Because here's why. Your kids, they struggle every single day to make sure that other people like them, to make sure that they are accepted, to make sure that they are loved by other people. And there should never be a question in their mind that you love them. So the question becomes today is, has your lack of margin caused you to miss great moments with them? Has your lack of margin caused your family to be characterized by rules over love? You know, I was thinking about margin and just how we lack it. And I started thinking about just our logo. I shared our logo, the meaning behind our logo a few weeks ago, and it's up on the screen. You got the two arrows in the circle, and I'll give you the quick rundown. The top one represents your heart, the bottom one represents your mind, and those are both focused on Jesus. And when they're both focused on Jesus, you get this peace that surrounds your life that protects your heart and your mind. Now, I was looking at it, and I was realizing that there's margin there. There's space between our heart and our mind and the peace, and it protects us. But when we begin to focus less on Christ and more on our work and more on our business and more on doing all of these things, our margin shrinks and our peace shrinks, and our heart and our mind step outside of those things, and we enter into turmoil and chaos and hatred and the fruits of sin. And here's the most important thing. When your margin shrinks, opportunities for great moments shrink with it. We gotta fight for margin. We gotta fight for these moments with our kids, with our spouse, with God. And what I wanna do today as I close this thing out is I wanna issue a challenge to you. 3 challenges to build margin in your life. And the first one is this. It's to say no to say yes. Say no to say yes. There's this author and speaker that I really like. His name's Bob Goff. He wrote a book called Love Does. Fantastic book. You should read it. In his book, he says that he quits something every single day so that he can do something else. So I wonder, who is someone that you need to start saying no to? What is something that you need to stop doing? And know this, that every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to something or someone else. When you say yes to work late, you're saying no to dinner with your family. When you say yes to take on another project and another thing that you have to do, you say no to that weekend trip with your family. You say no to a date night with your spouse. When you say yes to one thing, you are saying no to something else. You got to remember that. Say no to say yes. Stop looking for things to do and start looking for ways to be. The Psalms say this, it says to be still and know that I am God. If we could slow down just long enough, be still and focus on God. Be still and focus on our spouse. Be still and focus on our kids. And we'll build that margin in our lives. Challenge number 2. Schedule it or it won't happen. Schedule it or it won't happen. I mean, I think it's great to have good intentions. I think it's great to sit here and say, hey, I'm gonna do this and make promises here and say prayers here, and that's great, but without action, without accountability, the busyness and routine of your week will take over and nothing will change. Schedule it. Man, set a time to pray with your family, with your kids and the wife, to spend time with your family and your kids and your wife. Put it on the calendar. Make it a priority. Make time with your family a non-negotiable. Nothing else or no one else should ever get in the way of spending time with them. They come first. Remember that. Here's the third and final thing, is to pray with your family. I got ahead of myself just a minute ago. Pray with your family. Now, if you've been here every week, you've probably heard this. I'm becoming a broken record. I've said this every week, the importance of praying with your family. It is so important. Pick a time. Pick a time to pray with your family every single day and make it a priority. And I am not talking about mealtime. I'm not talking about, okay, let's pray over our food. You can do that. That's great. That's wonderful. I'm talking about really getting into a place where you can be open and honest about what's going on and share and pray together as a family. And what we've learned so far is that when we pray, we experience vulnerability, and then vulnerability comes communication and openness. And when we have those two things, we have bonding time. Prayer is so important. You know, a few years ago, a movie came out called The Croods. It was about cavemen. Great movie. They lived in a little cave and it was cold, and so they would do this thing where they call it the sleep pile, right? And the dad would, lay down on the floor. He'd say, all right, it's time for the sleep pile. And the whole family would come and bundle up with dad, and he would grab them and he would wrap them up and keep them warm. It's funny, after watching that a few times, I came up with the idea to have a prayer pile. It was so fun. It was so cute with all my little kids. I said, all right, guys, let's do a prayer pile. And we started doing prayer piles every single night, and it was goofy and silly sometimes. It was sweet other times. I've since been slacking about it. We have like 800 kids now, so it gets harder and I get smushed. So we're trying to figure out another way to do the prayer pile. But can I tell you something? And when we're talking about things, sharing things that we miss, I kid you not, the prayer pile comes up every single time. There's something special about praying with your family. Fight for it. Make it a priority. Now, I told you 3 things. I'm going to give you a 4th one. It's kind of a given. I just want to throw it in there. That is this. Make time for Jesus. Make time for Jesus. Here's the deal. When you are intentional about spending time with Jesus, you will gain perspective on your priorities, and it will begin to naturally create margin in your life. Prioritize your margin, man, and you'll be able to really see some great things. Again, when you don't have margin, when margin shrinks, opportunities for great moments shrink with it. Earlier when I was talking about the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, that comes when we give our life to Jesus Christ. We are given the fruits of the Spirit. When we enter into a relationship with Him and we focus our heart and our mind on Him. And while each of us as Christ followers possess those things, we allow our busyness, we allow distractions, we allow worldly things to push those things out. But here's what I'll say to you. I'd rather ask you a question. Do you want to strengthen your relationship with your kids? Have a strong relationship with Jesus. Because here's the deal, with margin, if you want more margin, you need Jesus in your life. If you want more peace, you need Jesus in your life. If you want great relationships, you need Jesus. The author, the creator, the sustainer, who showed us unconditional, undeserved love, grace unending, mercy is unfailing. When we become more like Him, man, we can be Him to our kids, to our wives, to our friends. Church, I'm gonna ask that you would stand with me, bow your heads, close your eyes. I want to be honest and vulnerable right now, because this is something that I struggle with. It's one thing to get up here and say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, but I struggle with it. And I know that each of you struggle with it too. So many things pulling for your time and for your attention. And I know that there is a moment that took place either this week or last month that happened with your kids that you fully regret, where you wish you could take it back. Maybe there's many moments like that, where your lives were characterized by the fruits of sin instead of the fruits of the Spirit. While we can't take those moments back, man, we can begin right here and right now to fight for greater moments moving forward.